Somewhere in a forest right now, a deer is grazing. It is not thinking about yesterday. It is not anxious about tomorrow. It is not lying awake at 3 a.m. replaying a conversation from 3 years ago. It is just here. And somewhere in a city right now, a human being is suffering. Not because they are hungry, not because they are being hunted, not because their survival is under any immediate threat, but because of a thought. Just a thought, a memory, a fear, an imagined future that hasn't happened and probably never will. A species with the most sophisticated brain in the history of this planet, using that brain to make itself miserable. Welcome to The Hidden Premise, and today's subject is the only animal that suffers by choice. Every living thing on this planet follows what we might call the natural order. A lion hunts, eats, sleeps, raises its young. When it is threatened, it fights or runs. When the threat passes, it is over. The lion does not spend the next 6 months processing the emotional trauma of that encounter. A tree grows toward light, not because it chose to, not because it read about photosynthesis, but because that is its nature, and it follows its nature completely, without resistance, without negotiation. A salmon swims upstream against impossible currents, exhausting itself completely, fulfills its purpose, and dies. No existential crisis about whether it was worth it. No regret, no second guessing. It simply did what it was. And then there is us, the species that was given something no other creature on this planet received. The ability to think about thinking, to imagine futures that don't exist, to remember pasts that are already gone, to ask why. And somehow, we turned that extraordinary gift into the most efficient suffering machine the natural world has ever produced. Here is the paradox that nobody wants to sit with. The smarter a species becomes, the more it suffers. This is not a coincidence. This is not a flaw in the design. This is the direct and inevitable consequence of consciousness. Think about the spectrum of life on this planet. A bacterium has no suffering. It has no nervous system, no awareness, no fear. It simply exists and reacts. A mouse has some suffering. Fear, pain, hunger. Basic, immediate, temporary. A dog has more. It can miss its owner, feel anxiety, experience something close to grief. And a human can suffer over things that exist only in the mind. We suffer over hypothetical conversations, over things people might think of us, over the gap between who we are and who we think we should be. Over the fact that we will die, not when we are dying, but on a Tuesday afternoon, while we are perfectly safe and have nothing immediately wrong. No other animal does this. No other animal lies awake manufacturing dread about a future it cannot control. Because no other animal is aware enough to imagine that future in the first place. Awareness is the price of intelligence, and suffering is the price of awareness. We did not just climb to the top of the food chain, we climbed to the top of the suffering chain too. The human brain is, by any objective measure, the most extraordinary object in the known universe. 130 billion neurons, 100 trillion synaptic connections, capable of art, mathematics, language, empathy, philosophy, music, capable of imagining things that do not exist and then building them into reality. No other biological structure anywhere comes close to this. And what have we done with it? We have built weapons capable of ending all life on this planet, and then pointed them at each other. We have poisoned the air, the water, the soil that every living thing, including ourselves, depends on. We have created systems of work that require humans to spend the majority of their waking hours doing things they did not choose, in exchange for permission to exist on a planet they were born on. Think about it again. Every other living thing on this planet, the birds, the insects, the trees, the fish, they simply exist here. They do not pay rent to the earth. They do not need a salary to justify their presence. They do not require a job title to feel that their life has meaning. They belong here, completely, automatically, without condition. We are the only species that made existence itself into a transaction, and then wondered why we feel so empty. There is something animals do that humans have almost entirely forgotten how to do. They are present. Not as a practice, not as something they have to schedule into their morning routine and pay a subscription for. Just present. When a cat sits in a patch of sunlight, it is not thinking about what it should be doing instead. It is not feeling guilty for resting. It is not constructing a 5-year plan. It is simply warm. And that is enough. When a whale sings in the deep ocean, it is not performing for an audience. It is not worried about whether the other whales judge its voice. It is not comparing itself to the whale that sang better last season. It simply sings. Because that is what it does. Because that is what it is. Humans used to know this, before we built civilizations on the premise that existence must be earned. Before we decided that a human being's worth could be measured in productivity, we knew how to simply be. Somewhere in the process of becoming the most intelligent species on this planet, we forgot how to be an animal. And nobody told us what we were giving up. Here is the part that should unsettle you most. Most human suffering, not all, but most, is not inflicted from outside. It is chosen. Not consciously, not deliberately, but chosen nonetheless. We choose to replay conversations that are already over. We choose to compare our private reality to everyone else's public performance. We choose to live in futures that haven't happened and pasts that can't be changed, while the present, the only place where life is actually occurring, sits untouched. Animals do not do this, not because they are stupid, but because they are not cursed with the ability to be anywhere other than exactly where they are. Their limitation is their liberation. And our greatest ability, the capacity to transcend the present moment, is also our greatest source of pain. We can imagine paradise, which means we can always feel like we are not in it. Every other creature on this planet lives in the only moment that exists. We are the only ones who chose to leave it. So let's ask the question honestly. Was consciousness a gift? Or was it evolution's most elegant and most catastrophic mistake? Every other evolutionary development serves survival. Claws, speed, camouflage, venom. Each one made the animal more likely to live. But consciousness, the ability to be aware of one's own existence, did something no other adaptation ever did. It made the animal aware of its own death. Not in the moment of dying, but every day before it. A lion does not spend its life in the shadow of its own mortality. We do. And from that shadow, everything else follows. The anxiety, the need for meaning, the desperate accumulation of things. The wars fought over whose story about existence is correct. The systems built to distract us from the one fact we cannot unknow. Every other animal was built for this world. We were built to question it. And questioning a world you cannot change, and cannot leave, and cannot fully understand is perhaps the loneliest thing any creature has ever been asked to do. We were not given the best mind in nature so that we could flourish. We were given the best mind in nature, and then left completely alone with it.